The things we've been talking about during the break. I hope your last few minutes have been as interesting as mine. Going through what's making the news this morning, former editor of the Daily Star, Dawn Neeson, and all-round Olympian superstar Chris Akabusi. Very good to see you both.
Thank you.
For their last outing this morning. Chris, right, in the Times, more than 300 schools have been told to stop calling pupils boys and girls.
Yeah, this is absolutely amazing. Yeah, so 300 schools. Don't say boys and girls. You've got to say they or them or he or she. You mustn't assume. Stonewall charged £99 per annum to be on their school's Champions programme. When I was a kid, Champions had to do something to do with sports, but now it's about this.
Okay. Right, let me say something. if that implies that in any way referencing the sex of a child is in some way a weakness and creates confusion, I would say by not calling them by their sex, that's the bit that creates confusion. So, Dawn, what is wrong with, categorising youngsters?
It's insane, isn't it? I really want to be teaching English or human biology at school at the moment, because how do you explain plural, they, them? I was talking to the lovely makeup artist during the break, and her little her child goes to a nursery, and they are banned from using the word 9-month-old babies, banned from using he and she, and that's to say they and them. It's a 9-month-old baby.
Yeah.
How can you misgender a 9-month-old baby?
What happens to you if you ignore this or don't listen?
This is the thing, that the woman that's being trained to do this, the childminder, gets in trouble if she doesn't use they or them to describe a baby. And let's face it, we've got a little boy baby and you're changing its nappy and it pees, it's a little boy, come on.
0.02 or 0.2% of the population, according to the last census,
do the same.
term themselves transgender. Vast majority, as you say, of these kids have never even thought about these things. And as you say, Eamonn, just creates more confusion for children in a very confusing and strange world anyway.
Well, you also see that it's indoctrination, getting them when they're very, very young, so they've got no choice but to be enforced in this new way of language.
Scary.
It's very, very strange.
Well, you're a parent of young children. Where would you stand if you knew your kids were not being referred to as either boy or girl?
I'd be furious, absolutely furious.
Yeah.
Would you feel powerless? Would you feel there's anything you could do about it?
I would definitely have a conversation with the school about it, but I do think, a lot of parents aren't aware of what's going on behind the school gates, and that is a problem. Quite often, schools are, you pick your child up from the gate, you don't go in. The amount you know about what goes on in the classroom is really limited, and kids don't always necessarily talk about what goes on at school. So it can take a long time before you know what's going on.
Do you know the worst possible question in the whole world is this, from your parents? Well,
how was your
day?
day?
What did you do at school today? You just think, go away. It's like when I come back from work and somebody says to me, well, what was work like today?
Oh, I'm worse than that. I said, what did you learn? Tell me something interesting that you learnt today.
What's your husband?
Well, yeah, to everyone, and I get nothing back. But, fair enough. Right.
Let's talk about health.
Yes.
Heart care crisis. Dawn, the NHS is suffering its worst heart care crisis in living memory.
I don't want to depress people on a Monday morning, but this is actually scary news. Early deaths from heart disease have hit their highest level in more than a decade. Cases of heart attacks, heart failure and strokes among the under 75 had been tumbling thanks to us all quitting smoking and advanced surgical techniques, etc.
And lack of strikes.
But now, obesity, diabetes and undiagnosed blood pressure are pushing it back. We're pushing healthcare back. More and more people.
Which all comes back to weight and eating badly.
Oh, you know what, Eamonn? I mean, I was sort of like writing a piece during the week for last week on obesity, and obesity in Japan is at 4% because they're not frightened of using the fat word, whereas in this country it's 25%, and we have little kids who are now obese because we're so terrified of actually talking about it in honest language. I mean, I know there are all sorts of reasons for people to be overweight and obese, but it's like you feel nervous about talking in case you upset someone, you're fat-shaming.
Yeah.
Japan, it's 4%. They're doing something right.
Raw fish. And portions. And I don't think they don't sell all the junk in the way that we do, and therefore the temptations aren't there. They just kind of I don't know,
You know what,
moderate
Isabel,
their behaviour better than we do.
In Japan, if you go to work, your company has a right to measure your waist to make sure that you are actually not becoming overweight.
That's you. I'd have voted on that. That's the end of that.
Right.
And you have to do some physical exercise first thing every morning.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, that'd be great. I'd like a little workout during the break. Sometimes Eamonn and I do that. People don't realise, but we get to do a bit of we exercise our calves.
And we stretch in here during the breaks. But you're right. I would like a bit of that old.
Yeah, me too. See it in the park.
A bit of something like that. A bit of movement there with that. But you're saying that we should just stop being so sensitive about our dimensions.
Well, I think there's lots of issues going on with this story, and obviously we've had the pandemic, and you know the National Health Service does need a bit of a sort out. I think we'll all admit to that. So there's lots going on here, but I do think we have a problem with being honest about obesity in this country.
Says the skinny girl.
Yeah, when you said that, though,
Not skinny.
Well, I think you're right. So when you start talking about the pandemic and our response to the pandemic, no names, no patriots, but I think that we need to look a little bit further about these early deaths and don't just blame it on obesity. A lot has happened in the last few years, and you know there's long COVID. We don't know also about the MNR, the vaccine. So you know it says early deaths, and I know that Andrew Bigden talks a lot about this. So I think a lot of investigation is going to this, and don't make assumptions at the first point of call here.
Yeah, although we should stress, I suppose, that a lot of the discussions around vaccines has had a knock-on with trust in vaccines, and we've got this huge problem with measles at the moment.
We absolutely
need to be careful.
No, 100%. No, I'm 100% with you. 100% with you.
But can we talk about Brian Blessed?
Yes. Oh, sorry. I know I've got a loud mouth, but there's somebody
Front of the start, Robin, our director, because I mean he's quite a character, isn't he? But there he is, and he's been talking this time about wrestling a 48-stone male gorilla. Why, Chris Akabuchi?
Yeah, the gorilla's called Gurgis. And Brian Blessed has purported to have wrestled Gurgis. And when 48 stone, and when he wrestled him, guess what? The ladies' gorillas come to his rescue. And apparently he says that they come to his rescue, and he's got to be very careful because, and I don't know if I can say this element, they play with his flies.
Oh.
And he has to go,
What you're saying is they find him irresistible.
Yeah, exactly. He's irresistible to the gorillas. But I love the little comment in The Sun because it says, they're sure that they heard him coming. So, yeah. I'll talk about his voice. So.
Gorillas have incisors. They have
naughty.
Massive chick.
like fangs.
You set that up,
Sorry,
you. Oh, sorry. Oh, my goodness.
Having a hot flush now. Look at that.
So you were discussing this story, Isabel. You had researched this story earlier today.
No, I hadn't researched it. Just as soon as you said Brian Blessed, I remember, because this is the sort of story you don't forget, is that about 8 years ago, or longer than that, he famously described this crazy incident. It was a Radio 4 interview, I think, when he claims to have delivered a baby in Richmond Park with his bare hands and bitten through the umbilical cord and cleaned the blood off the baby's face with his tongue.
Licked the blood.
So I don't know if he might be a bit apocryphal in his stories or what there, but
I think if he'd seriously wrestled a gorilla, he wouldn't be
won.
talking about it, would it? No.
No,
But one thing I can't deny, I'm sure the gorillas do find him.
Well, I'm just trying to imagine. I'm just trying to imagine all those female gorillas trying to grab hold of him. I mean, just imagine they're trying to grab, and they go to the bloke. Mine, give me your flies. Leave it.
Imagine Akabuchi and Brian Blessed in the one room.
Oh, no.
He
wins. He's 87, you know.
Good grief.
He's 87.
Right. Tell us about, briefly, we've got a minute and a half left, Yorkshire puddings, Dawn. And I think Yorkshire puddings are all right. They're nice with gravy.
I love them.
In it. I mean, I wouldn't say I love them. I think they're perfectly acceptable.
I'm going to read this out in Sun style because it's a tabloid. How far would you drive for 6 inches? Is it?
Goodness sake.
This is reading it out loud. Basically, this is a pub. It's in Turnford in Hertfordshire, and they have 6-inch wide Whoppers.
6-inch wide.
6-inch wide.
That's a Whopper.
Yorkshire puddings. And people are so obsessed with these Yorkshire puddings, they drive for 6 hours to experience them.
I think, in conclusion, I wouldn't drive very far for 6 inches.
What was it called?
I know.
Definitely not.
They do.
Ooh, check you out.
They do them in York, and they have they're like sandwiches. They fill them up with all sorts of
sausages.
things.
We used to have them toad in a hole. That's what
Yeah.
a great big.
Careful. You're going to have trouble already.
All right, well, that's lunch sorted out
Eamonn,
today.
can you pull us back in?
Do that.
We lost
Thank
control
you.
of this end of the...
Thank you, Dawn Neeson.
Oh,
and Chris Sakabusi. Thank you both very much. Maybe the last
Look how
time.
sober. Look how sober
Maybe the
Eamonn
last
is.
time we see you all. But, so it's been a pleasure. Been a pleasure. Thank you
Been
very
something.
much indeed. Let's get an update on your weather picture today. After Storm Isha, well, actually, as Storm Isha continues, where will it be today? Ellie Glaser with the picture.